rocket does not really affect the camera, but it does affect radio links between the camera and other stations, so it will not affect recorded video, but it will affect live casts because the digital radio link can be interfered with by the rocket.
Pogo, bleed verification.
Actually, we all know the Earth is actually a velociraptor shape, and I think there was a funny image about that. I might show that to you after
Stage 1
the
locks closed
coverage.
out. MVAC BTV motions. Stage 2 lock secured. Falcon 9's on internal power. MID fuel bleed complete. Vehicles in self-align. Stage 1 and Stage 2 cryo helium secured for flight.
FTS announce AFTS is ready for launch.
AFTS is ready for launch.
VC verify F9 is in startup.
Falcon 9's in startup. Stage 1 and Stage 2 press
LD
flight.
verifies go for launch, go for age of reflight.
T-minus 30.
Side notice, we've finally switched to meters per second instead of kilometers per hour.
T-minus 20.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Please don't explode.
1. Liftoff of Falcon 9, the world's first reflight of orbital class rocket. Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
We are supersonic, and I'd say this is history. can see some of the exhaust seemingly going off to the side. That's due to the lower atmospheric pressure. The rocket engines are optimized for sea level pressure, which makes sense because optimizing an engine for sea level and then using it in lower pressure gives you less disadvantage than the other way around. And so now at some altitude, when the exhaust leaves the nozzle, it's still under some pressure compared to the environment, and so it keeps expanding and pushes itself and each other outwards.
Stage separation confirmed.
We have stage separation, and that means that the reused first stage did its job again. That's a success. And I guess I see a Kerbal reference in the chat with 2,200 meters per second being orbital velocity. The
Air separation confirmed.
The first stage view now seeing land again is actually the original very first stage that launched and landed almost a year ago.
Recovery vessels have AOS.
Notice the telemetry is still stage 2. The first stage is actually decelerating now. I wonder why there aren't like 2 telemetry windows to show both. AOS is just short for acquisition of signal. In the landing and reusable Falcon 9, obviously since there has to be fuel left in the first stage, the whole math of rocket system and rocket staging optimization changes a bit, and thus the first stage lasts a bit shorter and the second stage lasts a bit longer than in many other rocket types that are optimized for a discarded first stage. So it might seem a bit unexpectedly short.
First stage AFTS has saved.
Stage 1 entry burn is started. And stage 1 entry burn shut down.
That is, I think, the first time we're actually seeing a visible bit of glow on the grid fins
Stage 1 is transonic.
on re-entry. It's now slowing down.
Drone ship has AOS.
As it descends through the atmosphere, the camera signal is a much harder to keep up than while up in much thinner air.
Second stage AFTS has saved.
Stage 1 landing burn is started.
Stage 2 is approaching orbital velocity, and Stage 1 should be approaching and touching down any moment now.
Falcon 9 has returned again. Landing operators moving to procedure 11.100 on ECRY and ECF9net.
It seems the first stage has landed properly again, as I said, and it landed. Video was lost for a short time due to the rocket approaching and radio cutoff, but it landed, and it landed pretty much exactly in the center. They're getting more and more precise, and this is definitely history. That's just amazing. We can see the drone ship is slightly tilting, but the rocket is actually much more stable than it looks. It looks like it's really high and thin and about to topple at all times, but once the fuel is burned, the empty first stage actually has a surprisingly low center of gravity. We now have cruise stage, cruise phase, and it seems about 20 minutes until second stage ignites again.